What's up, YouTube? Capital G here. So everybody told me that Zoodiac was dead, how even I pronounced the archetype dead after the ban list, but maybe stories of Zoodiac's demise have been greatly exaggerated. Maybe the deck is not as dead as we thought. You guys remember like those couple of weeks where people were playing anti-meta Zoo in the OCG? I think that might be a possibility here in the TCG. This was a deck that actually took 4th place at an LLDS. If you guys don't know what LLDS is, it stands for Local Legend Duelist Series. And if you want to become a local legend, if you're topping with Zoodiac right now, that's the way to become a fucking legend in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Because obviously like a quarter of their exceeds have been banned and Rapiers at 1, and the deck was clearly decimated, but they still do have 3 copies of Barrage. Do not forget that, because every Zoodiac player, well, pretty much, you know, like all 2 of them, Yuri Landsman is the one who actually accomplished this feat, going X and 1, but every Zoodiac player is still going to be running the maximum amount of barrages available. And this was posted by Calancho Store on Facebook. Shout outs to those guys. Calancho Store is basically like a Latin American group. They cover a whole bunch of like events that happen in Mexico and Peru and all over Latin America and stuff like that. And a lot of times it's in Spanish, so I need translating because I can't read it. But yeah, the guy actually confirmed on Facebook that this was in fact his deck list. And you kind of see that it is similar to the anti-meta builds in the OCG. The first thing you'll notice is he is running 2 copies of Mistake, and yes, there are a couple of conflicting cards because he does have Pot of Neg 9 and he has 3 copies of Tenki, but I would say that he has equal opportunity to open with a Barrage as he does with Tenki, and you can still clearly resolve Barrage under the Mistake. And when you really look at, you know, what Mistake does right now, there's a lot more searching outside of Zoodiac than there's going to be in your deck. You look at like the Pendulum Magicians with the Wavering Eye searching and the Joker searches, and Pendulum, Perform Pile Pendulum Sorcerer, that's a card that searches. I actually think that this deck utterly destroys Pendulum Magicians, not just because Mistake really hurts them, but he's main decking 2 copies of Unending Nightmare, and I think that card would be very, very hard for them to deal with. He's not maining actually that many Zoodiac monsters. You see that he has the best 3 that you can kind of run outside of Rapier. Well, she's at 1, so it's like whatever, but you know, just 3 copies of Thoroughblade, 3 copies of Ram to get Thoroughblade, and your Whiptail back when those dying, and Whiptail kind of being like a you know, a very good utility monster, empowering obviously all your exceeds. And I think this is the same exact lineup that people ran in the OCG when Trident and Whiptail both got banned. You just take all the other exceeds and you just max out on them. Now, this was a really cool card that I didn't even know what it did, that I'm pretty sure most people are gonna be like, what the hell is that, Cap G? It's called Rocket Hand, right? So it says target 1 attack position monster you control with 800 or more attack. Equip this card to that target. So obviously you can use this during the damage step. You can take something like a Thoroughblade, it'll go to 2400, which is definitely pretty strong, and it being an equip means that it lasts for multiple turns, but it has a bonus effect, right? It says you can send this card to the graveyard, then target 1 face-up card on the field, usually you'll target one of your opponent's card, and you destroy it, and then you change the attack of the monster that this card was equipped to. I believe it goes to 0 if I'm not mistaken. To 0, and the battle position cannot be changed. So the downside of Rocket Hand is supposed to be you're supposed to have a monster in attack position that's locked into 0 attack and you can't switch it, but obviously in Zoodiac that doesn't fucking matter, because you can take your Thoroughblade and you can overlay into any one of your Xyz, and then your Xyz monster obviously gains the stats of Thoroughblade. So it's like, it's a really good card. It's a battle phase trick that can be used really well in Zoodiac, and then it turns into kind of like a removal card that doesn't really hinder the archetype at all. It would hinder most decks, but in a deck like Zoodiac, you're kind of tailor-made for this card to be pretty strong. You see that he also has the Scapegoat. I've talked about this multiple times. I actually played this in my crawlers on my live stream. I love this card because it's a defensive card that is also an offensive card. I said that same thing in the Cubic video. It can serve as an attack blocker, and it can serve as a card that, you know, you can use to link summon. And if you're running Mrs. Radiant, if you're running an Earth deck like Crawlers are, I think that Scapegoat is really good in your deck because it can turn itself into a Mistress Radiant, which powers up basically your entire deck at that point. So this is just a very unique build of Zoodiac, and you know, I guess this is where Zoodiac is. Maybe, I would imagine, just looking at this on paper, I would probably say that if this deck was playing against Pendulum Magicians, I'd probably give it an edge, because I think that the main deck is kind of like tailor-made to beat Pendulum Magicians with the mistakes and the unending nightmares and like the floodgates that you can use and just mess them up, and you still have Solemns and whatnot, and multiple copies of Zoodiac Combo, by the way. Just a really good card. Obviously, Daigusto Emerald, rest in peace. But I would probably say that this deck is going to struggle. I would say that it would definitely struggle against like True Draco, but I guess that's where the side deck can kick in. You can side deck copies of, you know, like Mask of Restrict, make it so that they can never tribute. But even other things like Invoked, I mean, dude, Invoked, if you flip over a mistake when they, you know, when they use the Wind Witches and they're not able to search, or if you use the mistake when they summon Alistair, I kind of feel like it's a wrap at that point. If you don't have your mistake, you still have 3 copies of Ash Forehead, so this deck should be able to shut down all types of searching. So anyways, just wanted to show you guys something a little different. Wonder if this will actually pick up. With Spirals coming out, it would be another deck that Spirals do like to search, because they got the Spiral Resort, and yeah, I heard that Quick Fix is I heard a Quick Fix is a card that definitely likes to search too, so maybe we'll see even more mistakes being played coming up in the meta. Anyways, just wanted to bring you guys something a little different. Thank you guys for watching as always. If you want the deck, you're interested in playing some anti-meta Zoodiac, of course it will be in the description below as always. Thank you guys for watching. I think I've said that 4 times now. That's just part of my outro, and sometimes if I start talking again, I always repeat thank you for watching. But yeah, subscribe if you guys have not already, and turn on those notifications for daily videos.